Alright, horror hounds, and welcome to another episode of This Just In. So it's the Halloween season. We're about a week away from big trick-or-treater night, and I decided I've been going to a lot of haunted houses lately, and I would review a movie that I found a few years ago and I was a big fan of. I'm going to be doing Hell House LLC, the found footage movie. To me, this is probably the best found footage movie I've seen. I know I've missed a few of them that are out there, but this one is by far my favorite so far that I've seen. This one's directed by Stephen Cognetti, I believe. He actually directs all three of them. He's made a whole trilogy on this, Hell House LLC. And this is done in a mockumentary form, which I'm a big fan of mockumentary. My favorite TV show is The Office, which is a mockumentary. So I find it to be very entertaining. This one's about a documentary crew who finds out what happens, obviously, with Hell House LLC, and they go to the site where this all happened, and it follows the events of what happened. It starts off with kind of like the tragedy of what had happened on the opening night for Hell House LLC, without giving away the whole thing that happened. And then we follow the events of them watching tapes that they were given by someone to go along with, learn, and see what happened. All right. So, Abaddon is the name of the hotel. That's the Abaddon Hotel, and it takes place in Abaddon, New York. This is a fictional location. Abaddon is actually not a place in the United States anywhere. But, as a fun fact, Abaddon is actually the name of a demon who kind of is the gatekeeper of hell. Fun little story that they did in that, like that type of stuff. The director really thought that through using the name of Abaddon. This house is actually filmed in Pennsylvania. The hotel is in Pennsylvania till today. You can go visit it if you wanted to. And if you really wanted to look it up, it's actually a haunted house attraction, just like in the movie, at the hotel. There's a group that took it over, and I guess from what I read online, they kept a lot of it the same, and then they also have a giant corn maze too. So it's kind of neat. If you really wanted to go visit where Hell House LLC took place, you can go visit that place and have your own little haunted walkthrough of the hotel. All right. So, like I said, this is a movie I enjoy. I go through the ends. The first one for me is the score. There is not much of a score to this movie, but there is a little piano sound. All right, so the found footage, in some movies, the shaky cam and stuff like that is very frustrating and annoying. In this one, I do find it to be done well. Obviously, found footage is low budget. It's not gonna always look the greatest, and they do have a lot of shaky cam and a bunch of no-name actors. But I do feel like the crew of Hell House that we follow throughout this movie, they do a good job portraying actual people in this situation because we're supposed to believe this is real. The acting is well done. The actors all seem realistic and how you would probably act in that type of situation. Another thing in this movie that I find to be done very well for me is the scares. I like the scares in this movie. They're not all jump scares, and when they are jump scares, they're done well. There's not a big loud sound to bang and scare you like you see in a lot of the paranormal activity movies. And a lot of the scares sometimes are simple, sometimes they're subtle, and I think they're done well. There's nothing that's like stupid or terrible in this movie when it comes to a scare. Going along with that, one of the biggest scares in the movie is this clown. I like the clown. He's inanimate. He doesn't move at all, except for when he does.
What's up, man? What are you looking at?
That's being possessed by somebody to move it around. We don't know who, what, when, where, why. But The clown plays a big part, and it is a freaky clown. It's not very often that we get a good freaky clown in a movie, but when we do, we celebrate it because so many clowns are over the top and cheesy or just done terribly in horror. And you have a million movies to choose from when it comes to clowns because just go on Tubi or something and you'll see that there are millions of clown movies. All right, and I like the atmosphere in this movie. Um, the atmosphere is good. It stays dark, kind of dreadful. I like the tension building that's in it. The scenes that do build up tension, they're done well. And this all feels like a documentary, like a crew came into a situation to figure out what was going on. The only reason why they have this footage is because they were given the footage by the only member from the house. But there's also a nice twist ending to that. So the ending, I was in on the ending as well. I thought it was a good ending to the movie. Not going into too much detail, but down in like when the movie kicks off, you're following these people in a YouTube video who were waiting in line, and they start going through the house, and then they get towards the basement, and there's all this mass panic of what's happening in the basement, and we see them leaving. You see on the news that like 20 people got injured, 15 people died, and then we do some interviews here and there. And they interview the one girl who was part of Hell House LLC, and she gives them the tapes. She said that they hid them so the cops couldn't have them because they didn't. She didn't feel like the public needed to know what happened in Hell House, and she's giving them to them so that they can show the world what happened at Hell House. And as we find out as the movie goes along, spoiler alert, she actually died in Hell House, and she's giving them the tapes because she's not really alive. And then the twist is that when they go to meet up with her later on at the hotel that is in town, they don't have anybody by her name, and she was staying in room 2C, except for that hotel doesn't have letters next to the doors. But they sneak into the old Abaddon, and they find her sitting up in 2C, and they see what she really looks like now. Mixed. The only thing I'm mixed on in this movie is like the scares. I think they're done well, but I wish we saw more stuff happen. It's kind of a slow building, kind of to create the atmosphere and the dread. And then the only other thing that is kind of a mix on me is what you have it with every found footage movie, so I wish that they didn't just follow suit with that. That's where something happens, and then it kind of like cuts like, and then you see like all these random colors that don't show up in film, but I guess because of the spirit or the demon, that's what makes those colors show up. Where you get like your red, blue, white screens, and it cuts away. That I thought was kind of just. I wish I did away with it. Didn't do that part. It's about the only thing I don't like about the movie is that, because I feel like it's unbelievable when that happens. But most of the movie does seem to follow pretty well. It's a nice, believable story. I did see that a lot of people online were asking, "Is this based on true events? Is this a real story? Did this really happen?" So the fact that a movie was able to do that on such a low budget and make people think that, hey, maybe this was real, kudos to them. They did a good job. So I don't have anything that I'm out on in this movie. Those are just a few mixed things. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I love this movie. I've probably watched it like 6 or 7 times since I've seen it. It's a good movie. Like if you got a younger kid who's getting into horror, there's no like extreme violence in it. It's just good scares, good tension building, and stuff like that. So it's almost like an introductory movie to horror for kids, in a sense like that. It's not terrible, but I would recommend you go watch it. My overall rating on this movie would be a 4.75. Like I said, I've seen it like 6 or 7 times since I've seen it. I find it highly rewatchable, and I enjoy it when I rewatch it. All right, if I can have you give me a like, subscribe, comment if you've seen Hell House LLC, hit the notification bell so you can see when the next one comes out. And don't forget, guys, rest in peace.